Good morning, peeps. Bonjour. That's hello in Potawatomi. Welcome to Star Nations Organization's main fan page here at Facebook. I'm Neshi Locotts. And for those who might not know me, I am Yvette Neshi Locotts, and I am the CEO. That's kind of a strange title for me. I am the steward of Star Nations Organization, LLC. Yep. And today is Sunday, not Saturday. Like I said in the earlier post earlier this morning, you could tell that I wasn't quite awake yet, huh? It's Sunday, September 30th. Yes. Hey, Rochelle Lottie just joined us. Hi, Rochelle. Yeah, it's Sunday, and it's cloudy, rainy, and cold here in northwestern Wisconsin, where I live. And you can definitely feel fall in the air, autumn. The maple trees are definitely turning color, and we also have some of the oak trees that are showing their kind of golden color and golden brown, right? Yeah, it's good stuff. I like autumn. I do. Fall. It's one of the four seasons. It is my favorite one, and it's because of all the color, and it's also because it's not hot and humid, and usually there's a few weeks here where we don't have any mosquitoes because it's too cold for them, and yeah, and so yeah, and it's that change, it's that shift, into something new, something different. It's crosswinds on the medicine wheel, and sometimes it can be a little uncomfortable. But all in all, it's one of my favorite months because of all the beauty that's around, all the color. Yeah. So before I get started talking and sharing, because I always forget one thing once I start doing all the sharing stuff, is if you wouldn't mind liking and sharing. Rochelle is so good at this. And usually when I see her name in the chat, it's like, that's a reminder for me, right? It's a reminder. Because this particular live stream, this daily live stream that I do here on Facebook at our fan page, isn't an official Star Nations Network Facebook live stream show, in that we don't have a logo for it. We don't have a fan page for it. We don't, it doesn't have all of the formal structure that our live stream shows have. It's informal, I guess is a good word for it. And so when it's that informal, sometimes I forget to do some of the housekeeping stuff. And one of the housekeeping stuff is to like and share the broadcast. And the reason why we even ask our audience to do that is for one reason and one reason only, and that is to help others find us, Star Nations, a little bit easier. Because there is a lot of information out there on social media, a lot of information on Facebook. And if we're not in the news feed, sometimes, it's harder to find, right? That's all it is. And it's kind of like, I see it as kind of like a light worker or energy worker civic duty is to share and that kind of information that has attracted you to help others who may be interested or searching for the information, to make it a little bit easier for them, right? So thank you for sharing, Rochelle. Hey, Elise Miller's here too. Good afternoon, Elise. And Mary Ann, if you're watching. So I have my phone right here, and I am going to share. I'm going to share it first to my timeline. And first I got to find us. There we go. Make sure my sound is down. Don't want to get all squelchy. Oops. Rats. There we are. And we're going to like, and we're going to share. And I'm going to share it on my personal timeline first, my news feed. We're just going to say, hey, friends, I'm live streaming. Please join me. There we go. Short and sweet, right? And then I'm going to share to the Star Nations Magazine Radio Network Close Group So, because that's where a lot of our active community members hang out. So I'm just going to say, hey, peeps, because that's what I call them. Why? Because they're my peeps. I'm live streaming right now. Please join me. There we go. And we're going to share it to the correct group. And then it's done. There we go. Now, yesterday when we were doing the live stream, one of the things that happened is that the live stream feed itself coming from Facebook wasn't populating all of the comments that the audience was making. So thank you for making comments. And if I didn't see it, I didn't address it, that's the reason why, is because I didn't see it, and didn't see it until probably after the broadcast was finished. So I got my phone sitting right next to me, and I'll keep checking that to make sure that I see all of the messages. All right. So thank you again, Rochelle, for sharing. Elise says, on my timeline here for a bit. Aw, she's not feeling well. Nasty fever following Paul's footsteps. Aw, so sorry to hear that, Elise. Lots of love coming your way. Prayers for optimal health. I guess you just have to slow down a little bit, huh? And let your body do what it needs to do with that fever. It's fighting. She's saying, hate being sick. As close to pneumonia as I've been in years. Oh my gosh. Well, you be careful with that. If you need to go to the doctor, if you haven't done it already, please, please, please do so, because that pneumonia is nothing to mess around with. And Paul and I, we're not young and we're not old. We're 58, and it knocked him on his butt. It really did. He was out and down for about a week and a half. A week off from work for sure, but it took him another, 4 or 5 days just to kind of feel like he was, what do you say, 87%. That's Paul. That's his sense of humor. So take it easy. Take care of yourself, okay? Yeah, and Rochelle is still recuperating from Eric and Dalene's wedding. Very tired but tanned. That's not a bad place to be, Rochelle. It's not a bad place to be in. Sometimes I think we need to have a vacation from our vacations, right? In the old days, because Paul and I, we work hard. We really do. We have that Midwestern work ethic to the nth degree. We work hard, and we enjoy our work, because it doesn't even feel like work, right? But in the old days, we played as hard as we worked. So many times we were on a year-round volleyball team, which meant that after the games, we'd go out and talk about the game and talk about the teams and that kind of stuff. But when we went on vacation, we played just as hard. So yeah, and coming back tired. Or in my case, a lot of times I'd come back and then I would have the cold, or I would have, some sort of virus or something like that, which meant that I was down even for more days. And you always have all that extra laundry too. Yeah. Yeah. Elise is saying 10 years ahead of you, almost 11. Yeah. My oldest brother is 13 years older than I am. And so in many ways, I actually had 2 dads. At least that's how he treated me a lot of times, is because there was such this big age difference between us. But there's pictures of us where he is like 14, 13 years old, or 14 years, no, I guess he was 14, and I was a year old, and he's holding me, because he was helping mom, right, while she's doing her things. And at that time, she was also pregnant with my youngest brother. And so what few pictures we have of my youngest brother and I, one of them is of my oldest brother holding me as a baby. I look at that today and think, he and I have a really different kind of relationship. It's not quite a sibling relationship. It is, but it's more than that. It's more than that. He used to actually work in the same junior high I went to, and Dad worked at the same school. And so cutting class, they made it really difficult for me to cut classes. I did, but they made me use my creativity and my ingenuity. Kept me on my toes too. And so, having that age difference, yeah, it's kind of good though, because we come from two different generations, and to have more than one way to look at something, right? And sometimes that means we disagree about stuff, but that's okay. That's all right. To have differing opinions, yeah, it's good. It's good. I like it. Out of all my brothers, yeah, he's the one that everybody turns to. My cousins, all the younger ones, and even the older ones, they turn to him. He was the firstborn grandson, and he used to be called Sonny, not because it was Sonny, I believe it was Sunny. But anyway, he's in Ho-Chunk. That's a Kuno, and Kuno means firstborn son. And the firstborn son always has certain privileges and certain expectations, I think. So yeah, that's me and my brother, my oldest brother. Hey, Karen Kirsted's with us too. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Now, for those in the chat, I have tea. It's caffeinated tea, and I'll tell you why. I need the caffeine today. We're working on Star Nations Magazine, the October issue, and promoting the September issue all at the same time, and getting prepared for Polly Jo LeBay's class here this coming weekend. And we still have openings, so if you'd like to join us, you're more than welcome to join us. It's going to be a healing weekend. We're working on healing that aspect of us that's called the heart chakra and the inner child, right? And so much more than that. Yeah. And also Polly Jo is doing private sessions too, that if you want a healing session with her privately, she's got openings on Friday and Monday. Check out our website, starnationsorganization.org, and click the Academy page, and there's all the information right there for you. Okay. Now let's get on to the card draw, because I like this one. I like these cards just in general. But here's the card that came this morning. It's called Magick Guardian. Unlock the magic within. The Magick Guardian. Unlock the magic within. Yeah. Isn't that a gorgeous photo? Unlock the magic within. And notice that magic is spelled with a K at the end of it, right? So, with the wings, it's an angel. The angel of the Magick Guardian. She's the Magick Guardian. And whenever you see magic spelled with a K, it's more than a magician that stands on the stage, right? It's actually connecting to the energy of the universe. In other words, it's about manifestation. It's about creating. And so let's find out what the author of these cards, Kyle Gray, has to say about it. And I just have to find the page. The Guardians. Fire Guardian. Nope. Let's see. Here it is. Magick Guardian. It's about unlocking the magic within. So in other words, it's about how we create our world. All right. How we create our life. The message here is about stop looking outside yourself and recognize that you have incredible power within. Incredible power within. And when I read that, I thought that is so true. That is so true. When we are focused and we have a clear intention, it's like having a very tight beam of light, like a lighthouse light, right? Because that reaches so far and cuts through like fog and everything, right? And so it's a very tight beam. When we are focused and we have a clear intention, we are so very powerful. I used to tell a friend of mine, one of my sisters actually, when we were just starting to get to know each other, and she was coming to a lot of my classes and that sort of thing, is that she wasn't grounded very well. And she knew that. She knows it now, looking back at it, right? And one time I told her that when she was grounded and focused, she would move mountains. And she has. And she has. It took her a few years. The process that we go through, because when we came in with this, it's something that we already know about. It's remembering and clearing away all that debris and interference from from our gifts, from our lives, right? And what I'm talking about is our emotional healing and our mental healing, and healing those traumas. And once we clear enough of that debris, and we can recognize the lessons, the life lessons, the gifts that came with learning those life lessons, we're able to trust in ourselves and trust in our intuition. We know ourselves so much better, right? And so that is the power within. When we look for the power outside of ourselves, when we're trying to gather to us things that we think that will make the next part of our lives easier or get it done for us, we wait until we finish that college degree. We wait until our kids grow up. We wait until that divorce comes through, or that we meet the perfect mate. And so we wait for all of these things outside of ourselves to occur before we say, okay, now I can live my life, or now I know exactly how powerful I am from all those outward things, right? When you think about it, sometimes that's how we do that collection of material things, right? And some of it's fun. Don't get me wrong. Some of it's fun. I went from collecting shoes and blazers to collecting artwork to collecting books and crystals and stones. Now, the crystals and the stones are great, but that comes to a point where when is enough, right? Yeah. Rochelle says in the chat, found out today that my aunt and uncle, they were married, died last week, 6 days from each other. Oh my goodness. They were 96 and 97. Aw, that's a love story, isn't it? That is a love story. Yeah, it's very romantic. They met, they fell in love, they got married, they had kids. And when one said it was time to leave the physical body, the other did too. It's a love story. They must have loved each other a great deal. Thanks for sharing that, Rochelle. Yeah. Cindy Lynn's with us. Hey, Cindy Lynn. Good to see you in the chat. Good to see you in the chat. I'm going to take a drink. Hang on. And for those who have just joined us, this is the card that came today. It's the Magick Guardian, Unlock the Magic Within. Do you see, let's see, I don't know if you can tell, but behind her, above her head is the flower of life, right? The flower of life. Now I'm looking to see if there's any light language he wrote on here. There's probably some, oh, I see it. Okay. So if you look at the palm of her hand, you see that? I don't know if you can see that. In the palm of her hand, she has a symbol. Yeah. And it looks like to me, it is the seed of life, maybe the seed of life, which is, it has the platonic solids in it, right? It's about creation, manifestation. And she is an angel. And if you look in her hair, there's some shells there. They're cowrie shells. Cowrie, cowrie shells. And in many indigenous cultures across the world, all around Grandmother Earth, cowrie shells have a certain symbology, what they represent. And they represent female, the divine feminine, but they also represent wealth, abundance. In some African nations, tribal nations, the cowrie shell is about the wealth, and if you have a lot of them, you're very wealthy. And they're usually found in people who have them are in kind of leadership positions. I'm not going to say that, to use the term chief or anything like that, because that's not part of their language, I would imagine, because it wasn't a part of Native America language. And even here on Turtle Island with Native Americans, the cowrie shell has this very similar meaning, feminine, and it also represents abundance. Yep. And I didn't know that at first. It's when I was given my medicine dress by Spirit, and I thought it was going to be a jingle dress, right, made with the metal cones. And I remember driving from Poinet to another town. I was actually helping with somebody's campaign for state senate. And I was driving from my house to a meeting, and I was thinking about the dress, because I was in the process of creating it right here on Earth. And I was thinking about the cones, and if I had to make the cones myself, if I could buy them or what. And I could hear this sound, and I had this flash of an image, which was a cowrie shell, and I'm thinking, shells, really? What kind of shell was that? And I heard the word cowrie. Okay, so that is what is on my medicine dress, and I didn't realize or didn't know at the time the meaning behind the cowrie shell. So let's get back to the Magick Guardian. Kyle Gray says that the Magick Guardian is a representation of the angel of magic who helps you direct your will to bring something into creation. She is the angel who swirls around shamans and wise ones when they are calling on the energy of magic to help them manifest something that will be healing and supportive to their path. He goes on to say that you are the magic. You are the answer. You have it all within you. If you've been searching for an answer or a reason to focus, recognize that all that you are looking for is already within you. And that's a message that we've heard time and time and time again, haven't we? That at what I usually end up saying is, like, at a soul level, we already know. We already know. It's it's the process or the working through our healing to be able to understand, to remember, to ask for help is a good thing. And that is usually help, asking for help from your spiritual team, asking for help from healers, earth, people here on earth, whether it's a energy worker or a spirit, light worker, is to ask for help. And because at a soul level, we already know it's accessing that memory. It's already within us. And that is why he has on here is to unlock the magic within. Unlock the magic within. And one of the cards yesterday was winter. It was about wolf, right? And the message there, if I remember right, it was something like, do whatever you have to do to bring out the authentic you. In other words, do all of your healing, to do what has to be done, right? And so many times that is the things that we procrastinate about, the meditations, taking care of the physical body, right? Whether that's getting exercise or whether that's eating a healthy diet for you. That doesn't mean that for me, that doesn't mean following necessarily a prescribed diet, but eating foods that make me feel good. That, okay. So Paul made a lunch today. He was helping out as best he could because the magazine is taking all of my focus right now. And he was trying out a new recipe and it was good. He used elk burger and he used, it was with cabbage and like a marinara. It was like a deconstructed cabbage roll, right? And it was very good, very good. And as we were eating it, I was saying, oh, what would really be good in here would be either rice or potatoes, And he says, yeah, I'm sure you'd want the potatoes because I do. I like potatoes. But I can only have them in very small quantities. Why? Is because for a diabetic, a white potato, all starch, is like eating just plain sugar. Just give me the sugar. That's what it's going to turn into in my body. And so it's not a healthy food for me. I like it, but I can only have it in small quantities. So I make the decision, how do I want this? Do I want that? Do I want the potato or do I want the dessert? Or the piece of bread or something like that, right? So it's decisions that we make for ourselves. Yeah. Rochelle says about her aunt and uncle that they were married for 67 years. Can you imagine that? 67 years. They got married quite young, but 67 years with the same person. I know most people say, when I tell people that I've been married for 40 years, they say, you get married really young, which we did. Paul jokes around and says, yeah, we were 12, but no, we were 19. And a lot of people will say, wait a minute, to the same person? Mm-hmm. Yep. And then they joke around. It's like, yeah, I have that amount, with 2 different people or 3 people or whatever. But so, Rochelle, that is really special, isn't it? Very special. Elise is asking, how is George? Well, George is doing really well. He's very healthy. I had him to the vet on Friday. They weighed him. Now, we had him to the vet on the first Friday of September, right? And now he had him back to the vet on the last Friday of September. In that time frame, he was weighed in at 11.75 ounces in the first visit. This last visit, he was exactly 20 pounds. Yes, I said 20. And it's not like, he eats about 3 times a day if you measured it out, which we do. But the thing is that he only eats a little at a time. He eats a little bit, goes and plays. When he gets hungry, he goes back, eats a little bit more. So he doesn't gulp down his food. He eats a little at a time when he's hungry. And so basically, his food is always in his dish, and he just eats it when he wants it. But his legs are getting long. They really are. And now we're dealing with some behavioral stuff because, the barking, the biting, that kind of thing. And so Paul and I are trying to make sure that he gets plenty of exercise, runs in the backyard, and trying to communicate with him as best we can. But yeah, it's also learning boundaries. It is learning boundaries. So he's actually doing really well. Funny, hilarious, had me laughing the other day. Hey, Molly, hello there. And Nylish Decane, I hope I said that right. Hello, welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. Oh, Nylish is from India. India, welcome, Nylish. I'm so glad you're here with us. All right. So we're talking about the Magick Guardian, unlock the magic within. And so with the energy so the intention for the card draw every day is, what is the energy that is most important for us to know about today for the highest good, and that we can share with others, right? And so with this card, it really is about understanding, acknowledging, accepting that at our core, we're very powerful creating beings. We're spirit. We already know how to wield, how to create. We already know that. And many times it is our belief in ourself or beliefs from outside of us that holds us back, right? Some of those beliefs come from religion, some of them come from society. What other things that may hold us back is our traumas, emotional, mental traumas. And so our healing work is really important. And I keep saying that practically every day, every week for sure, on my other show. But it is true. It is true that when we slow down enough, and sometimes the universe does that for us, spirit, slows us down so that we have time, earth time, to contemplate, to think about what it is that affects our lives, our physical, our emotional, our mental, and our spiritual lives. When we face our fears, yeah, when we're angry, is not to suppress it, for one thing, but to express it healthily, in a healthy way, is to express it. But more importantly, is to look underneath it or behind it. What's really there? In most cases, it's a fear. In some cases, it's ego, because you just want to be right, and prove that you're right. But when it's a fear is to look at it, to face it. Because many times our mental mind distorts it and creates something that isn't really there, yeah. So when we face it, sometimes we find out that it's not as awful or scary as we thought it was going to be. But when we do that, when we do turn around to face it, we're never alone. We just have to ask for help. Ask your spiritual team, help me to understand this at its root so that I can heal it and learn what it is that I'm supposed to learn from it, to add that wisdom that you're going to gain from it, right? Yeah. And in that is that soul growth. And with the soul growth, what gets to happen is that when we use our gifts that we came in with, when we express them through our creativity, we get to see what that's like. Yeah. We get to use them at 100%. That's my goal. That's my intention, is I want to know what it feels like to experience it, to access and use, apply my gifts that I came in with at 100%. That's, to me, that is a joyful life, and how do we want to say this? It would be an accomplishment, right? And I don't mean that in a competitive way, but it feels like a completeness, right? Yeah, so many times, because I've assisted family members, been there to hold their hands and create sacred space or whatever, for those who are going to be walking on, and when they cross over. And so many times what I see is that we really, really try very hard to burn up the fuel that's in our bodies, our physical bodies, the energy, to burn that up, to use every ounce of it before we leave. And when I talk about my gifts, that's kind of what I want. I don't know about you guys, but I want to know that I accessed as much as my gifts as I can possibly do, and to be of service as much as I possibly can, with them, So I don't know how you guys feel about it, but that is how I see what creation is, being manifesting in the creation mode. And the Magick Guardian is there to assist us. Could be already be on your spiritual team, right? Could be on your spiritual team. Yeah. I don't know. How do you guys feel about manifesting? Do you feel that you're creating the life that you want, living on the life that you desire, working toward it, right? I'm not sure if I agree with the working toward. Because for me, that means that it's just out of reach. That you're trying, is that instead of being, be it. If you want to be joyful and you're trying to be joyful, it's much easier to be joyful than trying, that kind of thing, right? And sometimes what slows it down, our manifestation, is our reluctance to be that powerful. It's our reluctance to sometimes people get it confused with not being humble. And in so many ways, our society, our cultures, that's one of the virtues, right? Is to be humble, to have humility. But I believe, this is my belief, is that I can have humility and be manifesting and creating at the same time. I think it depends what you use it for. If you're using it for your ego, that you amass wealth so that you can say that you're a billionaire, and you help very few people, to me that is not being humble or have humility. But if you're a billionaire and you're a philanthropist, that's hard to say, a philanthropist, and you give back to people, you give back to the planet, to me that is creating with humility. There's nothing wrong with manifesting the funds needed. It's what you use it for, because it's just energy. Money is a symbol of our energy, and so if we can create it and use it in a good way, it's a good thing. right? So the question is manifesting. How do you feel that you are manifesting? Rochelle is saying, when I was into religion, I guess it still holds true today. When I pass over, I want Christ to say, good and faithful servant. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one, Rochelle. A good and faithful servant. And I suppose that depends on how you define for yourself what good and faithful means in service, right? That it's not someone else's definition, but it's yours, because it means so much more then. So much more. It's kind of like what we said yesterday when we were talking about the card, the Knight, is that when you are standing in your truth and drawing on the spirit or the energy of the inner warrior, right? Standing in your truth, you don't necessarily have to fight. All you have to do is stand in it and allow your spiritual path, your spiritual beliefs, to protect you, to stand in front of you, right? And allowing that to happen. And the thing is that we're not asking anyone to give us permission. We're not asking anyone's permission. We're not trying to explain it to get their okay and their agreement to it. It's just us. It's how we express our life, right? Yeah. So I think it makes it's much more powerful if we're talking about power in your definition and not something that's written by someone else or spoken by someone else. Yeah, Rochelle saying utilizing my gifts, the saying is in the Bible. Yeah. And I guess, then the question becomes is what is your gifts? What are your gifts? In many ways that's really about knowing yourself really well. Knowing what when you're working on something, and it brings you joy. Why did it bring you joy? What parts of it did? And knowing that when we're using our gifts, that's the feeling behind it, is joyfulness. That it's easy. And when I mean by easy is that it comes easily to us. Even though we might have to take classes to really be to be able to use it well, to master it, right? Sure, we have to take some classes sometimes or read something. But it's in the application it's in our frequency, in our vibration. And so, yeah, sometimes we have to do that. It's when it's joyful. It's like when I work on the magazine, sometimes it's stressful. It is because of the time crunch. But in its essence, I love the creation of it. I love the adrenaline rush at the beginning and of each issue because it's something brand new, and we're looking at finding photos that represent the intention of the articles if the writer doesn't have their photos with it. It's providing the framework for the contributing writers to express their gifts and their experience, their wisdom through. For me, the magazine, the creation of the magazine is utilizing many, many of my gifts, all at the same time. That's why it's so much fun. And time flies when I'm working on it. Lisa's saying, my gifts are born within me and life enhances what one is given. Oh, I like that. That's a good one. Rochelle says, acknowledging people, recognizing others, and healing others. Elise says book knowledge is not as important as wisdom. I agree. It's experience. You know, the book information can supplement, but there's nothing like the experience. Experience, you know. Elise says, when is the first draft coming out? Well, we're within probably a couple of days. I just got the prepped articles and pictures and all of that to the elves last night, and I'm finishing that up today. And so it will probably take Angelica maybe 2 days, 3 at the most, to pull it all together and get the layout and, you know, do her magic with it. Yeah, so in a couple to 2 to 3 days, I would say. Yeah. All right. Yeah, there. So you know when we're looking at manifesting, there's so much information out there on it. There really is. The law of attraction, right? The secret. And there's other things that have been written about it in these days too. I remember when it first came out. You know, it's a universal law, cause and effect. It's a universal law. It's been around for thousands of years. Humanity, the two-leggeds, have been using it for a really long time. We're just remembering in this particular lifetime, in this particular body, how to use it. So sometimes the book information is good, but it's not until it's expressed through you, through the application, through your frequency, through your vibration, right? That makes a difference. And that it's about your soul growth. And when we look at it as the collective, all of us and the oneness of it, that we really do affect the frequency of humanity, when we utilize our gifts in a good way. Right? I like that. I like that we're working at it as a team too. Individual healing that affects the whole team. Yeah. Well, I hope your Sunday is going well. And what we're going to do is kind of wrap this up because I have a magazine I have to create. So, and guess what? George slept through the whole show this time. And how did we do that? Well, we started an hour early for us. I had him outside running around. It's my planning. It's how I set things up to flow with the things that have to get done, right? So rather than rushing through it and leaving 15, 20 minutes before airtime, before we broadcast, at least 45 minutes before, I'm taking him outside. We're playing, we're running around. He does his business. We come here, he walks around a little bit, and he comes in and he sleeps. I think we're figuring this out. So, you know the drill. Whatever you heard in this conversation, if it resonated with you about the Magick Guardian, the energy for the day, embrace it, pick it up, grab it. See how it unfolded for you today and this evening. Notice if you're a participant directly using the information. Are you a witness to somebody using it? Because either way, you're learning something, right? And if it didn't resonate with you, that's okay. That's no problem. Just let it lie. Possibly be the messenger, because that's still energy work. That's still light work. Being the messenger. Maybe you know somebody that would enjoy the conversation or the information they've been searching for, and just share the link with them of the recorded broadcast, right? Yeah, that's all you have to do. And in the chat, Elise says, can't wait for the next magazine. Love it. Me too. Me too. Love and hugs to you too, Elise. And Rochelle is saying, thank you for this time together. Namaste. Of course. I love spending time with you guys. I do. I just wanted to share, let's see what's coming up. We got on Tuesday. Tuesday is Chakra Sessions with Polly Jo LeBay. And that's at noon Eastern. And then Tuesday night is my show, Communications from Home, and that's at 8 p.m. Eastern. And in my show, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about numerology. I promised this a couple weeks ago, is that we're going to talk about numerology and what numerology says about karma, the karma that we come in with, and karmic lessons, two different things. Okay, so that's Tuesday. Wednesday is Soul Connections with Polly Jo LeBay, and that's always a powerful hour and a half. You know, it's a healing meditation. If you're an energy worker and haven't spent time on your own healing work because you're helping others most of the time, that hour and a half is for you. To work with your spiritual team, Polly Jo assists, and it's a powerful evening. Yeah. So also we got that class coming up, the mystical healing class 101. I think that's what Polly Jo is calling it. Yeah. So with that, enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and we'll see you back here tomorrow for the card draw live stream. So Bama Mina, we're probably going to do another afternoon one tomorrow. Okay. So expect it 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern for the card draw. All right. Bama Mina, until we see each other again. Love you guys.